I never thought I'd be the kind of person to cut ties with my own family. I always believed that if I worked hard, if I did everything right, they'd see me. They'd appreciate me. I was wrong. For years, I sacrificed everything for them. I worked overtime, saved every penny, and even bought them a house so they'd finally stop asking for more. I thought that would be enough. I thought they'd finally be proud of me. But then, I saw the Facebook post. My sister grinning in front of my house. "Thank you, Mom and Dad, for this amazing gift." And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I found out about the loan. The one my father took out in my name. That was the moment I realized I was never their son. I was just their financial plan. I have nothing left for them to take. Sometimes, you come across a Reddit post so unbelievable, so gut-wrenching, that you have to stop and read it twice. That's exactly what happened when we found this story. A man named Delvin Walker, a 28-year-old software engineer living in Seattle, Washington, shared his shocking experience on r/True Off My Chest, one of the biggest subreddits for people to vent their deepest frustrations. If you've ever felt like the black sheep of your family, this story is for you. Subscribe to Reddit True Vault for more shocking real-life stories. I thought writing this out would make me feel better. But the more I type, the more I realize this isn't just about the house. It's about everything. It's about how I was never really their son. How I was always just convenient. I knew from a young age that my parents loved my sister more. But I never thought they'd take it this far. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, in a household where love was conditional. Where respect had to be earned. By me, at least. My little sister, Samantha? She never had to lift a finger. She was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. When she wanted something, she got it. If she failed at something, my parents found a way to blame someone else. And when she succeeded, even in the smallest way, it was a celebration. Me? I was expected to be responsible, to take care of things, to take care of her. By the time I was 6, I was already the helper. If Samantha spilled juice, I was the one scolded for not watching her. If she threw a tantrum, I had to be the one to calm her down. If she was bored, I had to entertain her. But the real injustice started as we got older. When I was 10, I woke up excited. It was my birthday. I ran downstairs, expecting at least a small cake or maybe a happy birthday from my parents. Instead, I found the living room decorated with pink balloons, a giant banner that read, "Happy Birthday, Samantha," and a group of kids running around. I stood there, frozen. Samantha's birthday wasn't for another week. But my parents had planned her party early on my birthday. And they didn't even realize what they had done until I asked, "Where's my cake?" My mom blinked, as if I had just reminded her of something trivial. "Oh, right. Well, we can get you a cupcake later." A cupcake. For my 16th birthday, I got a firm handshake from my dad and a lecture about responsibility. When Samantha turned 16, they got her a car. She failed half her classes in high school, but they still threw a party when she graduated. I graduated top of my class, and my mom just said, "That's what we expected of you." That was the moment I knew I was never their son. I was just their investment, their backup plan, their safety net. But I told myself it didn't matter. If they wouldn't give me love, I'd earn my way out. I worked twice as hard. I took every AP class I could, skipped parties, studied until my eyes burned. I thought that maybe, just maybe, if I became successful enough, they'd finally be proud of me. I was wrong, because the moment I started making money, they didn't see me as their son anymore. They saw me as their wallet, and that was only the beginning. I learned early on that I couldn't expect fairness from my parents. If I wanted something, I had to earn it myself. And so, that's exactly what I did. I got my first paycheck at 16. Nobody congratulated me. "No, we're proud of you, son." No celebration. Nothing. But when Samantha made her first $20 selling a handmade bracelet online, my parents acted like she had just cracked the stock market. That was the moment I realized my achievements would never matter. No matter what I did, I would always be second to her. But I kept going. While Samantha spent her weekends shopping with friends, I spent mine in front of a secondhand laptop, learning how to code. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, anything I could get my hands on. By the time I was 18, I was taking on small freelance gigs, fixing broken websites, debugging code, writing scripts, whatever paid. College wasn't any different. I knew my parents couldn't afford tuition, and honestly, I didn't expect them to. I worked part-time, took out loans, and scraped by. Samantha? She didn't even bother applying. She didn't need to, because while I was struggling to juggle work and studies, my parents were still paying for her lifestyle. It didn't matter. I wasn't doing this for them. I was doing it for me. After years of grinding, I graduated with a computer science degree and landed a high-paying job in Seattle, Washington. For the first time in my life, I felt free, independent, secure. And then the guilt tripping started. At first, it was subtle. My mom would call, her voice dripping with nostalgia. "We're so proud of you, honey. Just don't forget where you came from." Then, the expectations rolled in. "Samantha doesn't have the same opportunities as you. You should help her out." Then came the demands. "We spent years raising you, Delvin. The least you can do is give back." And I did. Every month, I sent them money. Enough to cover their rent, bills, groceries, whatever they needed. But it was never enough. No matter how much I sent, they always needed more. And I started to wonder, were they struggling? Or were they just using me? I wouldn't get my answer until years later. And by then, it was already too late. I didn't find out the truth until I saw a Facebook post. A simple, smiling picture of my sister standing in front of my house. "Thank you, Mom and Dad, for this amazing gift. My dream home, finally mine." At first, my brain didn't process it. I stared at the screen, reading the caption over and over again, waiting for it to make sense. It never did, because there was no way this was real. No way that the house I had spent years working for, sacrificing for, paying for was now hers. But it was, and I was the last person to know. It had started off like any other phone call. "Delvin, we're getting older," my mom had sighed. "We can't live in this tiny rental forever." Dad chimed in with his usual guilt trip. "Son, you've made it. You have a great job, stability. Wouldn't it be nice to know your parents are finally secure?" The pressure was constant. Every phone call, every holiday visit, it was always about the house. "You have a great job now. Shouldn't you help your family be stable? We can't rent forever, Delvin. Don't you want your parents to have security?" They never demanded it outright. That wasn't their style. Instead, they planted the seed and let it grow. And after years of hearing it, I finally gave in. I bought them a house. It wasn't anything extravagant, just a modest, cozy home in a quiet neighborhood. But it was theirs. A way to show my gratitude, to make up for all the ways I had failed as their son. Or at least, that's what I thought. Turns out, I wasn't giving them a home. I was giving them a bargaining chip. I saw the Facebook post a year and a half after buying the house. At first, I thought it was a joke. Samantha, standing in front of my house, all smiles, arms spread wide like she'd just won the lottery. A dream come true. "Thank you, Mom and Dad, for this amazing gift." I felt my stomach drop. I read the caption again. And again, gift. What the hell was she talking about? My hands were already dialing before I could process what I was doing. Mom answered, her voice light and cheerful. "Oh, Delvin, what a surprise. It's been too long." "Yeah," I said, my voice tight. "Too long. That's why I wanted to ask, why is Samantha calling my house hers?" Silence. Not confusion. Not shock. Just hesitation. And that told me everything. "Delvin," she finally said, her tone shifting into that sickly sweet mom voice she always used when she wanted me to just go along with something. "You know how hard things have been for your sister. She needed it more than we did." I sat down, gripping the phone like it might break in my hand. "You gave her the house?" "Well, yes," she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "She's starting a new chapter, and we thought." "You thought?" I cut in. "When exactly did you think to tell me?" A beat of silence. Then a sigh. "Oh, Delvin, don't be dramatic. You have a great job. You'll get another house. She's struggling. She needed stability." My heartbeat was pounding in my ears. "I bought that house for you. For Dad. You both begged me for years to help you. And now you're telling me you just, what? Handed it over." "We didn't think you'd mind," she said. Like I was the crazy one. Like I was the selfish one. Like they hadn't just stolen from me. "Put Dad on the phone," I said through gritted teeth. There was some muffled shuffling, then his gruff voice came on. "Delvin, this is unnecessary." I let out a sharp laugh. "Is it? Because it seems like I bought a house I no longer own." He exhaled, annoyed. "Son, you know we love you. But Samantha, she needed it more." There it was again. Why? Because she didn't work for it? Because she didn't save a single damn cent in her life? "Watch your tone," he snapped. "We raised you better than that." I almost threw my phone across the room. They weren't sorry. They weren't ashamed. They weren't even pretending to feel bad. Because to them, this was fair. "I don't owe you anything," I said, my voice shaking. "Not anymore." I hung up before they could say another word. And that was the moment I knew. I was never their son. I was just their wallet. I thought that was it. That was the ultimate betrayal, the moment I realized I had never truly been part of this family. But I was wrong, because the house, that was just the beginning. I thought nothing could hurt more than the house. I was wrong. I don't know what I expected at that point. Maybe I thought they'd feel guilty. Maybe I thought they'd realize how much they had taken from me and finally stop. But my father? He wasn't done with me yet. It started with a letter. A thick, official-looking envelope from the bank. I almost threw it away, thinking it was some promotional nonsense. But then I saw my name, bold, printed at the top. I opened it, and my stomach dropped. It wasn't a promotion. It was a final notice. A delinquent account under my name. Tens of thousands of dollars in unpaid debt. At first, I thought it was some mistake. I never took out a loan. I never even applied for one. I had been careful my entire life, making sure to never spend beyond my means. I called the bank, my hands shaking as I held the phone. The customer service rep was polite. Too polite. Like she had done this 100 times before. "Sir, this loan was signed under your name over a year ago." My throat went dry. "That's impossible. I never signed for a loan." There was a pause. Then the sound of keys clicking. "We have the application here. I can confirm that the signature on file matches your legal signature." I almost laughed. A bitter, hollow laugh. "That's not possible," I said again. Then she said something that made my whole body go cold. The co-signer was Robert Walker, my father. I hung up without another word. I don't remember driving to my parents' house. I don't even remember parking. All I remember is standing in the doorway, gripping that letter so tightly my fingers ached. My mother answered the door, her face lighting up in fake surprise. "Delvin, you should have told us you were coming." I ignored her. "Where is he?" My voice was steady, too steady. She blinked. "Who? Dad?" "No." She hesitated for half a second too long. Then she sighed and stepped aside. "Robert," she called into the house. "Your son is here." The way she said it made my blood boil. Your son. Like I was some stranger, some distant acquaintance. My father emerged from the living room, holding a beer. He barely looked surprised to see me. "You really needed to come all the way here?" he muttered, taking a sip. "What's the big deal?" I threw the letter onto the coffee table. "You stole from me." That got his attention. His eyes flicked to the letter, then back to me. He didn't even look ashamed. If anything, he looked bored. "I borrowed," he corrected. "It's different." I almost saw red. "You forged my signature. You opened a credit line in my name. You destroyed my financial record." He scoffed. Scoffed. Like I was the one being unreasonable. "Don't be dramatic," he said. "You make good money. You'll pay it off." I felt my hands shaking. "That's not the point. You had no right." "I had every right." He cut me off. "You think I paid for your food, your clothes, your education just out of the kindness of my heart? That was an investment. And now, it's time for you to give back." I swear, the room spun. I physically had to grip the side of the couch just to stay upright. "An investment," I repeated, my voice barely a whisper. He shrugged. "I raised you. You owe me." I looked at my mother, hoping, praying for even a flicker of remorse. A sign that she didn't agree. But she just sighed, like she was tired of the conversation already. "You'll make that money back," she said, dismissively. "Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" A big deal. A big deal. I had given them everything. Every spare dollar. Every ounce of effort. I had twisted myself into something unrecognizable just to make them proud. And it was never about love. It was never about me. I was a paycheck. A tool. And when I finally realized that, something inside me snapped. I stepped back, shaking my head. "I don't owe you anything." My father laughed, actually laughed in my face. "That's not how family works, son." And that was the moment I knew. I wasn't his son. Not really. I was his wallet. But not anymore. I turned and walked out the door. My mother didn't call after me. My father didn't try to stop me. And as I got into my car and pulled away, I knew one thing for certain. They would never take anything from me again. If they could take everything from me without hesitation, why should I feel guilty for letting them face the consequences? I stopped paying. No warning. No dramatic farewell speech. No explanation. Just silence. For years, I had been their financial safety net. No matter what they did to me, no matter how much they took, they knew they could always count on me to bail them out. Not anymore. The first missed payment must have sent a ripple of confusion through the house. Maybe at first, they thought it was a mistake. A delay. Maybe they told themselves I'd come around, because I always did. But then the second payment didn't come, and the third, and then, the reality of it all came crashing down on them. I started getting calls. First, just a few. Then dozens. Then numbers I didn't even recognize. I never answered. I let them go straight to voicemail. I never checked them. I didn't need to. I already knew what they would say. Then came the texts. "Mom, Delvin, honey, there's been some kind of mix-up with the payments. Can you call me back?" "Dad, Delvin, answer the goddamn phone." "Samantha, WTF? You can't just stop paying." Each one more desperate than the last. I ignored them all. A few weeks later, I got an email from the bank. The house was officially in foreclosure. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No joy. Just nothing. It wasn't my problem anymore. It never should have been. Then, one evening, I got a text from a number I had long since deleted. Uncle Peter. He wasn't like my parents. He had always been the neutral party, the one who saw things for what they were, but never intervened. I hesitated before opening it. Delvin, they're losing the house. Samantha is freaking out. She has nowhere to go. Your parents are. Well, I've never seen them like this. Your dad looks like he's aged 10 years overnight. Your mom won't stop crying. I know they messed up, but are you really okay with this? I read it twice. Then again, then I deleted it. Because yes, I was okay with this. For the first time in my life, I was okay with letting them deal with their own mess. I wasn't their son. I was their wallet, their insurance policy, their backup plan. And now they had nothing. And I was finally free. It's been years since I walked away. Years since I stopped feeling like I owed them something. And in those years, I built a life that's completely my own. I bought a house. Not for them. For me. A place where no one else has the key, where no one can show up expecting something from me. It's not a mansion, it's not extravagant, but it's mine. And that's all that matters. I haven't spoken to my parents since I cut them off. The calls stopped. The messages dried up. Eventually, I faded from their world just as they have from mine. Samantha? I have no idea what she's doing. And I don't care. For the first time, my life belongs to me. I never thought I would write this, but tonight, on the eve of my wedding, it feels right. Years of pain, betrayal, and loneliness, laid bare in a place where strangers might understand better than the people who were supposed to love me. I don't write this for sympathy. I don't write this for closure. I write this for the people out there, sitting alone in the dark, wondering if they'll ever escape. Wondering if they'll ever find a place where they are truly seen, truly valued. Not for what they can give, but for who they are. I want them to know, you can walk away. You are not trapped. And family? Family isn't about blood. It's about who stands beside you when you have nothing left to give. And if you haven't found that yet, keep going. It's out there. Yes, I struggled. Yes, I had nights where I doubted myself. But I got here. I made it here. And I didn't do it alone. I met her by accident. A completely normal, random Tuesday at a coffee shop. I wasn't looking for anyone. Hell, I wasn't even sure if I knew how to let someone in after everything I'd been through. But she sat down next to me, spilled her coffee all over the table, and muttered, "Well, this is the worst start to a morning ever." And somehow I laughed. A real laugh. The first in a long time. We talked. About nothing, about everything. One coffee turned into two. Then a dinner. Then nights where I told her things I had never told another soul. I remember the moment I knew she was different. We were lying in bed, and I told her about my parents. About the house, the debt, the betrayal. About how I had to walk away to save myself. She didn't pity me. She didn't tell me, "But they're still your family." She just took my hand and said, "You didn't deserve that. But you deserve to be happy now." And for the first time, I started to believe it. Tomorrow, I get to stand in front of the person I love and build a new family. One built on respect, love, and mutual support. A real family. I used to think I was broken beyond repair. That the damage my parents did to me had made me incapable of trusting, of loving, of being loved. But I was wrong. I am not broken. I am not just the product of my past. I am more than what they did to me. And as I sit here, staring at my reflection, I realize something. I don't hate the person looking back at me anymore. I don't see a victim. I don't see a man desperate for approval. I see me. I see someone who fought to build a life worth living. Someone who walked away from people who never deserved him. Someone who made it, despite everything. And for the first time in my life, I am happy. I am free. And I'll never look back. And that's it. That's the story. A man who gave everything to his family, only to realize he was nothing more than a paycheck to them. A man who walked away and built a life that was finally his own. But now, I have to ask, what would you have done? Would you have forgiven them? Given them another chance? Or would you have walked away like Delvin did? Finally choosing yourself over people who never truly saw you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more real stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Reddit True Vault.